everyone, what's up? Danielle here for another episode of the Keep Calm and Read On podcast. And today is sort of the first episode where I'm recording live, for the day. So, I haven't pre-recorded my thoughts on this book at all. I'm recording them right now to be posted, except it's going to happen tomorrow. And let me explain about that, okay? So today, the book I'm going to be talking about is called Finding Unauthorized Faith in Harry Potter by Nicole Rivera. And so here's what happened, guys. So it's a funny story. So today I'm recording, it's Wednesday, September 30th, but you guys will be hearing this episode on October 1st. And how I have things set up is that tomorrow, October 2nd, I'm going to be posting a discussion that I had with Nicole about the topic of Harry Potter and Christianity, religion, faith, spirituality, all of that melded into one episode. And we had a discussion quite some time ago, at least I think over a month ago, and it went really, really well, and Nicole's really awesome, super sweet, and I went to edit the episode, and I realized that we just had some confusion with, audio files, and it turned out that I didn't have her file, the correct file, and so we have to record again, which is awesome, because I love talking to her, and we're just going to have to rehash the conversation tomorrow night, and then I'll post the episode Friday, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be interesting. But the whole reason I'm recording a day ahead of time is because I'm going to be really busy tomorrow, recording an episode with Nicole, and I'm also going out to dinner with a friend to celebrate her birthday, and then other stuff is going on, so it's just going to be a busy night. So I figured I should probably record this episode the night before, and that is hence why I am here. So let's begin with this, because I'm excited to talk about this book. Super excited. And this is so weird that I'm doing this like this. It's strange. Because I'm not used to recording so little in advance for an episode. It's just odd. So anyway, let's begin. So, Finding Unauthorized Faith in Harry Potter by Nicole Rivera. So, what is this book about? Well, this book is a devotional that looks at Harry Potter through a Christian lens. How did I hear of this book? I heard of it from listening to a really great podcast. I would always recommend it to any Harry Potter or literature fan, called Aloha Mora, where they basically read a chapter of the Harry Potter books every week. So they've slowly been making their way through the books, and I think, they're on book 7 now, so it's been a while. I think the podcast has been out since 2012. I haven't been listening since then, but it's a really great podcast, and to get to the point, Nicole was a guest host on there, and I'm very interested in this topic of faith in Harry Potter, so I immediately looked up her books, which at the time were just ebooks, and I actually this year read the first ebook that was about the Philosopher's/Sorcerer's Stone, which is the first book in the Harry Potter series. And I had all intentions of talking about it on this podcast and reviewing it, but then I was able to get a review copy of this book from Nicole because it's not out on the shelves yet. And I thought, well, I'm sort of rereading it anyway. I'm just going to talk about the book as a whole. So just keep in mind that I did read Philosopher's/Sorcerer's Stone, this devotional by Nicole, in its little ebook form originally. But I'm very glad that I read the book in its entirety, where Nicole had all 7 books as a devotional, and I'll get more into that as the episode continues. But anyway, my experience reading this book, well, I sort of already went into it, and Nicole and I did have a conversation, and we talked on Skype twice, both for different reasons, but the one being that we had a discussion about Harry Potter and faith, and it went really well, and we're going to get to do it again, yahoo! And, anyway, we got to talking, and she offered, would I like to do a review on this book, and I said absolutely, And so she sent me an early review copy of the book, hence why I'm reviewing it. Probably going to write a written review as well. And so my experience with it is basically that. I don't have much to say of my experience, unfortunately. I wish I did, but I don't. I will say it toward the end, what I was trying to do, because when I was reading it, which wasn't that long ago, I just finished it a few days ago, but at the time I was just reading several books and like trying to figure out where my priorities lay in terms of like which book I should be focusing on. And so with this one, I kind of was like, I really just want to finish this so I can talk about it properly and, you know, put a podcast out about it. So I ended up like reading a book a night, meaning the book is split up into 7 parts, each for the 7 books of Harry Potter. So what I tried to do was read 1 part every day. And it's not that hard. I would read it at lunchtime and then before bed. Sometimes I succeeded and sometimes I didn't, just because I do this sometimes where I wait till the last minute to read before bed and then I'm just super tired. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like reading. So if I have any experience with this book, it was like being ridiculous with managing my time. It was insane, guys. But I finished it, and let me tell you, the experience of reading it was super enjoyable. And that brings us to what I thought of the book. And so obviously this is a review episode of a book that I just read, so I'm going to go into a bit more detail than I usually do with most of my episodes. So as I said, I love this book. I'm definitely putting it on the best books I've read this year. And I truthfully, and I'm being completely honest when I say that it's not because, like, I'm reviewing this for a friend. Not at all. This book is just really good. And let's get into why. Because it's interesting. Because first of all, I have to say that I'm not a devotional person, which I try to be in that I try to reflect on certain things every day, but I've very much strove to be a devotional person, and it just never works for me. And I guess I still haven't gotten the hang of it yet, and once I find my stride, then I'll be able to do it. But before reading this book, I was pretty turned off by devotionals, because I've constantly bought devotionals, and they have not worked out for me. And it really stinks, but that's just the way it has worked. So when I came to this book, I was a little skeptical. I was a little nervous by the devotional aspect. The thing that excited me was it's about faith in Harry Potter, which is something that I love. I love it so much. And, I'd read Nicole's blog before, so this was something I knew she was a good writer, and it was just something that I knew I would enjoy in some sense. I just wasn't sure about the devotional thing. But let me tell you, after reading the book the way I did, which was straight through, I can't wait to come back to it as a devotional, because it truly did. Like, I was reading it and I was like, okay, I know I'm skimming past, this part that I should be reflecting on, but in the future, I do want to pick up this book again and take it day by day and reflect on certain things, because the truth that is revealed in these books via a Christian lens is so breathtaking and amazing to think about, and really shows how powerful literature is and how powerful this series is as a whole. And this is a book that I feel like the devotional aspect only heightens its importance, because I know there are still tons of Christians out there who avoid Harry Potter, maybe not even for the reason that it has quote-unquote wizardry in it, but the fact that they just think it's weird and they avoid it, period. And I think that this book hopefully can change that. I want to buy more copies and give it to people, because that's how important I think it is. We need a book like this, and so I think the devotional thing as well is good, because it gives you that chunk of Harry Potter that, sometimes with devotionals or maybe just a book in general that's about a said topic, it can often get a little draining to read about the same, at least for me, draining, reading about the same thing and just kind of repeating the same thing over and over, where with this devotional, every single part of this book, every single mini chapter is framed so nicely and so perfectly. And just the way everything was set up was just so nice and inviting, I guess. And I think that, like I said, like, devotionals usually turn me off, but this was almost empowering me. Like, it made me want to buy a devotional again and give it another go. But I think if I ever do come to devotionals, which I shouldn't say if I ever do, when I do, it will start with this book, because I didn't nearly get to reflect on as many things as I wanted to, and so of course I'll be reading it again, and I'm super excited for that. Now like I said, the book is split into 7 parts, and then Nicole will take a quote from said book, because it's 7 parts, meaning a part for each Harry Potter book. Then she'll take a quote from said book and talk about it with a Christian context. And at the end of every chapter, she'll use Bible references, have a scripture, have a prayer, and it's just very, very nicely set up, very clean cut. I like it. But what can really make a book like this crash is the source material. And what I mean by that is Nicole or anybody who would have written a book like this could have so easily picked very boring passages to focus on. And I know from experience, I know Nicole probably knows this. Well, actually, I know for a fact that she had to cut some things out of this book, but we know that there are a ton more things that are not included in this book that you can compare to Christianity. But what works out so well in this book's favor is that literally every single quote, like, it never feels rushed, it never feels old. Every single quote that she picks out, every single instance from a Harry Potter book that Nicole chooses is so important and so fresh and original. You don't feel like the book is getting stale. It feels like even if she reintroduces or talks about a topic that she mentioned previously in another chapter, it doesn't feel like she's repeating herself or, running out of ideas. It feels very much just original and fresh. Like, I guess fresh is the best word for it. And that's another thing I find with devotionals, that they will constantly kind of repeat themselves, and this book doesn't do that. And it's really, really nice. It's so refreshing. And considering the chunks that Nicole picks out, she does a perfect job of explaining them in a biblical context. And once again, this is proof of why literature and art is so important for Christians. This book should be an example, I feel like, to people out there that, because I was just in a meeting at work the other day with some coworkers. I don't know why I said with. Of course, with some coworkers at work. And we were talking about topics, or we were thinking of articles to put in our newsletter, company newsletter. And this one guy, who's my good friend, he said, we were talking about like book recommendations for the holidays, and then he said the Bible. And, obviously that's all well and good, but I feel like as Christians, we sometimes limit our scope to the Bible. And that's not to say that the Bible's not important. The Bible is extremely important. But a lot of Christians oftentimes will disregard all other works. And it's not cool. Overall, I cannot speak more highly of this book. I just want to praise it for how great it is and how much we need a book like this in the Christian world. There are so many books out there that are trying to spread the message of Jesus and just do a terrible job at it, whether it be through, Christian fiction that is just shoving a message down your throat. This book, it clearly states its purpose right away. It's a Christian book. You know what you're getting into. But for me, when I was reading it, it didn't seem push and shove. It was just straightforward. This is a quote from Harry Potter. This is how we Christians should read it. And also, that reminds me, the other thing I appreciated about this book is that so often in nonfiction books written by Christians about Christianity, the author will put themselves on a pedestal and hold themselves higher, as if because they're telling you this message, they know better. And Nicole didn't do that. She totally was humbling herself and just really was down to earth with her readers. And that's something I really appreciated, because even as I was reading it, I was aware, this does seem like it could be borderline preachy, but it's not. And it's all because of how humble she portrays herself. She admits, I made this mistake one time. She just is open about it. And that's really important with books like this, because it's so easy to turn a reader off. And like I just said, I would have been turned off if I wouldn't have been entirely turned off. But, I do come to books a lot of times where I'll just start reading them and I'll be like, I can't do this because it's just too preachy for me. I want to have a book that is not talking down to me, but on my level. And Nicole definitely is on the reader's level, and that's just a perfect balance, and once again just speaks to the awesomeness of this book. So anyway, the book is well written, it's well formatted, it's honest, and you can learn a lot. And like I said, it is a book directed toward Christians, so if you're a Christian, you're gonna get, what is expected to get out of it. And when I say expected, meaning you're going to get helpful messages. It's not what you can expect what's going to happen, or how I'm saying this wrong. You don't know what she's going to talk about, but you can expect she's going to be giving a Christian message. That's what I mean. But even for people who aren't Christians, I think they can learn a lot about the Harry Potter books from this book, or they can just learn about Christian culture in general, because this book is more true to Christianity than a lot of Christian books on the shelves today. So that's just something to keep in mind. And also, this book is a great tool for studying the Bible, for studying Harry Potter and the Bible, because it compiles the verses from the Bible in such a nice fashion that when you read this, it's not overwhelming, it's not overpowering, overbearing. I guess all those words mean the same thing. You get my gist. It's just, you come to it and you feel very relaxed. You feel like, oh wow, I can do this. I can approach the Bible. Because the Bible, let's face it, is a very daunting book to read. In fact, I tried to read it in 90 days. I would have been finishing it today, and I failed miserably. The Bible is just a really hard book to tackle, and I think many of us, that scares us. It sure scares me. And this book kind of comes at it and says, let's talk about the Bible in the context of a book series that we love. And as much as I hate to admit it, I am constantly distracted by things. And Downton Abbey, for example, that's my current obsession. And I'm aware that being so obsessed with Downton Abbey is not good for my spiritual health. So what I try to do is I try to engage with the format, the television show. I was going to say the text, which kind of is. But anyway, I try to engage with it, and I try to see, okay, what sort of themes are in here? Where is the Christian context in this show? And I try overall to not let it take me away from the Bible or just studying the Bible, but it does. And Harry Potter did the same thing for me, and the fact is that I often find that I just get bored with the Bible, and I hate that, but it happens. And so what's awesome about our generation today is that we can take, people like Nicole are taking these texts, this art that we love, and are saying, hey, let's look for the spiritual and Christian imagery and teachings in this. And it's taking something that we love and making the Bible interesting for us via these things that we love. And it's awesome. And we need more people tons of people are doing it today, but we need more. And we need them to be recognized more because it's truly inspirational. And I'm loving it. It's a great time to be alive, guys. There's some awesome people doing awesome things today. And this book, this is awesome. 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely check it out. I believe it's out December 10th, but I will confirm that on tomorrow's episode with Nicole. But I'm 99.9% sure it's December 10th it's out. And I will provide links in the show notes where you can buy the book or pre-order it. And be sure to listen tomorrow, October 2nd. And you can hear Nicole and I discuss the topic of Harry Potter and religion, Christianity further. It's going to be a lot of fun. So that's my review on finding unauthorized faith in Harry Potter. Be sure to look for the written review as well. And on that note, I will talk to you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.